Hello and welcome everyone to this masterclass session on UCAS and understanding the basics of your course options and how to actually go about applying to different UK universities. It's really great to have you all here today, and do say hello in the chat box and ask us any questions throughout the session and we'll answer them at the end of the presentation. So each country in the world has their own set of unique application systems and how to apply to their universities. With the UK being a popular hub for international higher education, it's important that you understand where to start to increase your chances of success. So let's dive straight in. So very briefly about me, since we're going to be spending the next 20 minutes together. My name is Raveena. I was born and raised in Thailand. I was an international student, just like yourselves, aspiring to come to the UK many years ago. I graduated from the University of Oxford in 2016 and just saw that the Times Higher Education has confirmed that Oxford is in the 7th year running the top university in the world. I worked as a teacher in Thailand for a couple of years before becoming a marketing and events manager at our higher education company called SIUK. Now, you might have heard this short phrase called TCK, which stands for Third Culture Kid, which is where you become a mesh of different cultures. I come from an Indian and Thai background and currently live in the UK. So I've become an odd mix of all of these different cultures. So it's a very difficult question to answer where you're from these days. But no matter where you currently are, there are now education consultants and international officers at universities who specialize in things like visa regulations, entry requirements for your specific countries. So this is where SIUK comes in. So SIUK stands for Study in UK. We are UK university specialists who team up, who are British Council or UKVI trained. The advantage of working with an agent, not just like SIUK, but any other agents as well, is that you have a higher chance of getting an offer rate. It's usually at 98% compared to the industry average or application success rate, which is at 55%. The 55% rate is basically if you submit the application yourself. There's a higher chance of success if you go via an agent. The reason being that agents have obviously done this for years and have a wealth of experience. They've dealt with various student cases, so there's just a higher possible chance of success. We can also get you your offers quicker as we have agreements with the universities and can also help appeal rejections in certain cases. We do offer clearing support. Now, if it's the first time you're hearing the word clearing, don't worry, stay tuned. We'll delve into what that is a bit further down in the presentation. So starting straight with what we've gathered all here for today is UCAS. So UCAS stands for the Universities and Colleges Admissions Services. It's an online applications platform that is primarily used for undergraduate applications. It allows you to submit applications to 5 different programs and institutions all in one space. This is fantastic because you're submitting one application in the space of 5. So there's more opportunity for you to get into universities. That being said, it's also a bit risky because you only have one chance to get it all right. There's also a bit of a misconception that UCAS is only used for undergraduate applications, but you can also submit PG applications or postgraduate applications via the platform. To start your application, you first have to create a profile for yourself on the UCAS website. So you can just go onto Google, find UCAS, and the website looks a little bit like on the left of the screen. I won't go into too much detail on how to set up your profile today, as it's a 20-minute session, but it's a very quick and simple process. And once you log in, it's a very simple form and it's quite self-explanatory. This is the section of the presentation where I'd recommend you can pull out a pen and paper or take a photo of the screen because it covers all the basic things that you will need to kickstart your application. Starting with your high school or undergraduate transcripts and certificates. Even if you don't get your certificate until you graduate, many times your transcript or your predicted grades can help you get a conditional offer from a university. So each university usually provides 2 types of different offers, a conditional offer or an unconditional offer. An unconditional offer is what you're actually aiming to get, which means you're guaranteed accepted into the university. Whereas conditional means the university wants to have you there, but there are some conditions, extra conditions you need to meet in order to enroll into the university. This could be things like an IELTS score or a pending certificate or anything like that. So apart from your transcripts and certificates, you also need a personal statement. So a personal statement is also known as an SOP or a statement of purpose. It's crucial to your application. Sometimes if your grades are on the border, your personal statement can be the make or break between you getting into a university of your choice. It's usually just a short essay, say around 1 to 1.5 page, which equates to 4,000 characters or specifically 615 to 800 words on your UCAS portal. It's basically telling the university why you should be selected to the program, on what makes you a great candidate. There are many workshops and tips on how to write great personal statements. In fact, if you're in London, we're going to be running a personal statement seminar by an Oxbridge graduate on the 5th of November, and you can come along to that as well and ask questions in person. All the details are available on the SIUK website. Apart from these things, you also need a letter of reference. Usually you'd require at least one academic reference amongst the two. If you have been working for a long time, then one academic and one professional reference would do. But if you're a recent high school graduate or undergraduate, or you just have an undergraduate degree, then both of them could be an academic reference. You'll also need a valid passport and ID. Apart from these things, you also need to prepare a small fee for the UCAS applications, which is £26 for the whole set of 5 applications or 20 for just one application. If you submit your application past the UCAS deadlines or outside of their design deadlines, then the fees may slightly vary. You can also use a buzzword. If you want an agent like SIUK to help you with your application, then you may use a UCAS buzzword called UK Application 15, which is UKA all in caps, Application 15, all together with no spaces. What this does is that it grants your designated counselor the ability to view and review your application and make sure that it's all done correctly before you submit it online. So now we've delved into what are the basic things that you need for your application. But we just want to double check why you want to come and study in the UK, right? So what makes UK a top study destination? Through all its ups and downs, the UK is still a top study destination in the world, alongside the US, Australia, and Canada. It's host to some of the world's highest ranking institutions, it attracts millions of international students, and you have a higher chance of employability post-graduation. Also, it gives you an international student experience like no other, because there are people from all around the world coming to study in the UK. You can let us know in the chat box why you are interested in particular in studying in the UK. I'm imagining that you are because you're here at the seminar today. So what do you need to do to start your research? If you don't know where to start, a great starting point can be looking at the rankings of different universities. The Times Higher Education World University Rankings offers a variety of information about different universities in the UK and around the world. Though rankings are a great starting point, they shouldn't be the be-all and end-all of your research. You should also look at subject-specific rankings for your course that you're interested in. Some top universities may not even offer the course that you're interested in, say something that's very specific in the field of arts. So subject-specific rankings might be a better starting point for some of you. Also, to learn a little bit about the different types of UK universities, there are a group of universities in the UK called the Russell Group universities. They are basically the creme de la creme of UK universities. It's equivalent to what you'd say the Ivy League in the US. There are currently 24 universities in the Russell Group, amongst a total of 165 UK universities. That being said, there are a lot of top-ranked or well-regarded universities that you may have heard of but are not part of the Russell Group. The list might actually surprise you. It includes universities like the University of Bath, Lancaster, and even University of St Andrews, where Prince William, our future king, has studied. All of these universities are prestigious and none of them are part of the Russell Group. So it's great to do your research into which universities you actually want to go into before you apply. Now, once you've selected your list of universities based on the rankings, subject, location, etc., the next step would be to actually research the entry requirements and see if you actually qualify. If you're way off the mark, then you can rule out those universities. But if you're very close, say you have the GPA requirement is 3.2 and you have a GPA of 3 or 3.1, then I would say still apply and write a great personal statement to support your application. You might just get in. The entry requirements for each specific course or subject area is available on the university websites. Or if you don't know where to start, you can often ask the university themselves or contact a counselor or an agent if you're working with them. So how do you go about choosing a university? We covered things like the obvious rankings, obviously know which subject or field of study you want to be part of, research the entry criteria because that'll determine whether you can actually get into a university of your choice. There might also be other considerations like the location of the university. Say if you want to be in London, the affordability. Some universities are more budget friendly than others. Some universities also often offer more industry access. There might be a particular town in the UK that has access to, say, mining facilities, or has a great hub, is a great hub for jewelry design. So you need to research these things and see if it gives you industry access post-graduation. Also, it might be based on experiences of past alumni. Maybe seek out the alumni from the university website, or if you know someone who's gone to a particular UK university, maybe ask them about their experience, and your decision can be based on all of these different things. Now that you've decided your subject area, you've decided which university you want to go to, you've set up your UCAS profile and have all your documents ready. Now, this is where you need to know some technical terminology, which I'll run through in this section. So we're going to first talk about conditional and unconditional offers. I know I've already touched on this at the start of the presentation, but just to remind you, an unconditional offer basically means you've met all the criteria to enroll into a UK university. Whereas a conditional offer means there are still certain points or criteria you need to meet in order to get a guaranteed spot at the university. This could be things like your IELTS score or other certificates. Once you've submitted your application via UCAS, you'll need to have this thing called a firm choice or an insurance choice. So basically, a firm choice is usually a university that you're aspiring to go into. Your insurance choice should be your second choice or a backup choice. It's usually the one that you feel that you're very likely to get into and are still happy to go into. A pro tip that I would give you is never put your aspiring university, say UCL, Cambridge, LSE, as your second choice. Because if you don't get into your firm choice, you don't automatically get enrolled into your second choice. So your second choice should be like a safety net, one that you feel you're very, very likely to get into. Once you've decided your firm and insurance choice universities, and say you've got the results back for all of the 5 universities you've applied to, there could be a possibility that you don't like any of the options that were provided to you, or you've got rejected from all of those. You don't have to fret. There is a thing called UCAS Extra. So UCAS Extra basically allows you to submit one extra application via the UCAS portal, for which you'll have to pay an extra fee, but it's just one extra. There's no other chances after that. The next thing, which I did say I'll touch on a bit later in the presentation, is clearing. Clearing is actually sometimes the busiest period at universities. This is where the universities basically track which courses still have spots open and release this information on their websites. Each university has clearing hotlines which are based on the qualifications, and it comes on a first come first served basis. Students get their answers very quickly about the places at a university during this period. So clearing can be a spot for you to get into a university very quickly as well. This usually happens between July and August time when the A-level results are released. Again, like I mentioned earlier in the presentation, a common misconception is that the UCAS portal is only used for undergraduate applications, which is not true. It can also be used for postgraduate studies. So again, just to review, we talked a little bit about firm and insurance choices, UCAS Extra and UCAS Clearing, and also the fact that the UCAS portal can also be used for applications to your postgraduate studies. Now, moving on to the next important technical bit of the presentation is UCAS points. UCAS points are also known as tariff points or UCAS tariff points. This is basically a way for universities and colleges to draw comparisons between a wide range of qualifications that they see on their applications. Because you're applying from various different countries, so they need to be able to compare the qualifications that are less familiar and compare them against the more common ones, such as A-levels. So it results in a more fairer decision-making process. Some universities and colleges also use the UCAS points in their entry requirements offers, so you might need to know how many points you need to get and how much your qualifications are worth. You can do this via a UCAS tariff calculator, which is available on the UCAS website. But just to let you know, this is an indicative guide only. The university or college offering the course will have the final decision to make on your UCAS points. The final bit from my end would be that once you've calculated your UCAS point, this is an extra thing that you could potentially do after seeking advice from your counselor or from the mentor that you're working with. It's a thing called EPQ, which stands for Extended Project Qualification. The outcome of the project can be a design, a performance, a report, a dissertation, or even an artifact. The EPQ is a standalone qualification that is often taken by students in addition to their A-level studies. Around 30,000 students take the EPQ each year. If you want to learn a little bit more about the EPQ, you can contact your counselor. You might not need it at all, or you can speak to your mentor. The final tip from me would be to be proactive. Do the research on the subject area that you're interested in. Be sure about the subjects that you want to study. Have a look at the list of universities you want to apply to. So when you come to your college counselor, an agent counselor, or an international officer at a university for advice, they'll be able to guide you in the right direction and make sure that your application reaches the right places and you get into a university of your choice. So that's everything from me. I just want to wish everyone in this presentation who is looking to apply all the best. If you want to come and talk to universities, we actually have an in-person event in central London on the 5th of November. The details are on the screen or also available on our website. So please do come and talk to us or write your questions in the chat box now and we'll do our best to answer them. Thank you everyone for listening and I'm going to open the floor to questions now.
Hi, Raveena. We do have one question here asking if people can apply to scholarships through UCAS.
Not through UCAS, but each university website has their own scholarship information, and we've actually got a collated guide of all of the different scholarships that are available at different universities as well. So the best thing to do would be to select the university, research what scholarships they've got, and then apply directly to the university that way. You can't usually apply through UCAS.
We have another question here and it says, can I apply directly to unis for a degree or do I have to apply directly through UCAS?
That's a good question. So actually for things like PhDs and postgraduates, it's very common that the students usually do direct applications. Also, if you're very sure about which university you want to apply to, you can submit just one application via UCAS for undergrad. But usually if you're applying for an undergraduate degree, unfortunately it has to be via the UCAS portal.
There's another question here that says, what countries does SI UK offer services to?
So we've actually got offices in 83 different places in 40 countries. So we probably are wherever you're at as well. So just let us know which country you're from and you can contact the offices that are in those regions and they can help and support you.
There's just one final question here and it is, can you receive a waiver on the UCAS application fee?
Yeah, there are certain agents who might actually pay your UCAS application fee during certain times of the year to help and support you. So you can contact them and ask them if there's a possibility for them to pay for your UCAS fee as well. So that might be a possibility, but it's £20 for one application and 26 if you want to do all 5.
I think that's all the questions that we have. Thank you very much.
Brilliant, no worries. I hope that was helpful and thank you to the THE team as well for having me here today.